Good morning, fellow humans. Katrina here. Today, I wanted to hop on and tell you one of the things that I don't know quite a lot about is nutrition, as evidenced by about 100 pounds of excess fat cells. That's right, once upon a time, at a beautiful 5'7" with a 52-inch hips, I was 145 pounds. That was about a decade ago, and I had many, if not all, of the same medical issues back then that I do now. So what I'm going to tell you today is what I have learned most recently about dieting and nutrition information in terms of the book I've been reading called Fuck It by Caroline Dooner. I'll give you a little bit of a review on what I think of the book, what I think of her, what I learned, and ideas for how you can proceed. Here we go. Why do I think this fuck it diet is such a fabulous idea? Well, let me tell you. I have been seeing a therapist for recovery from post-traumatic stress for about, I would say, 1.5 years, maybe 2 years now. We've been together a while, and then when it came down to the food things to be addressed, we learned something new about me. I have an unhealthy relationship with food. The food does not have to change for the relationship to change, but I did not know how to change the relationship until last week. So I went in to see this eating disorder specialist Wednesday morning, and I told her about how I had tried the cognitive behavioral therapy, the mindfulness eating, and I told her how difficult I was doing with convincing myself to stop eating when I was full, having this internal back and forth. Your stomach has had enough. You need to stop eating, but I'm still hungry, but you've had enough. If that sounds familiar, maybe you ought to read this book because the internal dialogue is unnecessary. All we got to do is eat and eat and eat and eat and eat and eat and then eat some more. And then apparently our brains will get the message that the famine is over. And I no longer need to store excess fat cells in order to survive. It is 100% natural for the human body to hold onto those fat cells so that in times of famine, we may be able to use those fat cells to continue to live without the abundance of the food that there may not have been during a famine. Okay, so that's the point, except we don't have famines anymore, do we? I mean, some places do, but I'm in Oklahoma, I'm in America, and I'm privileged enough to just go to the grocery store for whatever it is that I like at any time that I like and forget about going to the grocery store. Now I can just DoorDash it or whatever app you prefer. So the reason that I think it will work is because I started a version of the Fuck It diet 5 to 6 months ago, and I was not aware that that is what I was doing. What I was doing was, yes, saying, fuck it, I'm going to eat whatever I want, but I added a layer of discomfort called judgment, okay? And in that judgment of my own inner experience, I told myself all sorts of mean things about how I was eating wrong, bad, horrible foods. And don't you know, I've felt pretty not so great in the last 6 months. Got this autoimmune thing going on. And the digestive issues that have plagued my intestines since I was a child, if memory serves, was first addressed in a clinical setting when I was in college, about 23 years old, a young, healthy, slender young lady. And I had a doctor tell me to my face, young lady, you are 23. You cannot eat like you did when you were 19. And I think that that medical professional reinforced the unhealthy relationship that was already present with food. The reason I say that the relationship was unhealthy, well, it wasn't working for me. A relationship with anything ought to enhance our quality of life. We ought to love something that enhances our life, not that hurts us. Love doesn't have to hurt when you're in a partner relationship, does it? No. And if it does, please get out and get some help. Love doesn't have to hurt, and so food doesn't have to hurt. I was under the impression that the food was some sort of addiction. Sugar is not an addiction, in my opinion, anymore. I reserve the right to change my mind at any point in time without notice. So like I said, my version of the fuck it diet was not helpful because I was judging what I was eating as an all or nothing sort of thing. It's either good or it's bad. And that is not the case with any food, processed or unprocessed. Yeah, food isn't bad. Sorry, neither is drugs or fire or guns. The thing that is inert is not what is hurting. What was hurting was the relationship. So here's the math of it. A plus B equals C. That is basic mathematics with letters. And if I am A, B is anything, drugs, alcohol, sex, food. Insert your problem there. And it can be a person, a place, a thing, a concept, anything you have C with. And C is the relationship, okay? And so my relationship with food was so restricted and so judged, and I ascribed so much meaning to the shit that I put into my mouth that I realized very recently how unhelpful that was. And let me look at it from the psychological perspective of why I think this makes a whole heck of a lot of sense. And I am refraining from beating myself up for not realizing this sooner. We realize things in exactly the right time, in exactly the right way that it is most advantageous for our continued existence on this plane of existence. So, from a psychological standpoint, if the conscious mind is all with the logic and the credibility and whatnot, we approach something again and again and again with our conscious mind. Even if that thing is dangerous, our unconscious mind gets the message that that thing is safe. Approach with conscious mind equals safe to unconscious mind. And that is how cigarette addictions, alcohol addictions, toxic relationships, re-traumatizing ourselves again and again without realizing what we're doing, walking down the same street, falling in a different pothole, struggling to get out, even once we are the ones who saw the pothole, fell in the pothole, and know exactly where we are. So I've gotten out of the recent pothole, and I'm looking at it like, yes, if we approach, it means safe. And so then flip that, if we consciously avoid something that we do not like for whatever reason, avoidance sends the message to the more primitive part of the mind that the thing that is being avoided is dangerous. And let me tell you, the unconscious does not differentiate danger from death. It's true. I have yet to be able to convince my unconscious that I am not going to die when I broadcast. I am almost there because I have been approaching broadcasting again and again and again in the form of live Facebook, going live on Facebook, as well as creating this podcast. This is also a video. If I could ever figure out how to upload that, then you get to see my smiling, beautiful face. So if I avoid something that I know isn't going to hurt me, like broadcasting, because you're not going to reach through the earpiece in the future and come hurt my feelings, or come hurt my body, or come threaten my life. And yet I can have the same physiological sensation, that fear fueling with extra strength to do something to protect my life from something that consciously I know is not going to hurt me. So when I used to avoid public speaking, then my anxiety level increased prior to each and every public speaking engagement. That is subsiding. All it takes is approaching it again and again and again and not dying. That second part is really important. You got to not die. So you got to do the thing that you want to do, that you consciously know is safe, and not die. If you can do those things, you can do the thing that you want to do. And eventually the lights will turn on in the rest of the brain that thing is safe to do. Because if it is both possible to do and good to have done, why the fuck not do it right now? So that's why I think it'll work. I was avoiding food. I was avoiding perceived threats of food. If I eat a donut, oh, it's gonna go, what is it, a moment on the lips and a lifetime on the hips or something like that. And so in avoiding those donuts, those sugar cravings, in restricting what I was eating and trying to go for the rabbit food or the macronutrients, or focus on micronutrients, or whey food, or go keto, or go vegan, or go Mediterranean, or get some anti-inflammatory, antioxidant. Fuck all that. I'm going to eat and eat, 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 eat. And as a proof that this is something that could be potentially advantageous to others, I will be 100% transparent with my journey on this particular diet. Because one of the criticisms that I have heard of Caroline Dooner, author of The Fuck It Diet, is that she is a quite slender woman. Well, I myself was once a quite slender woman at a healthy 145 pounds and 5'7". I now am a healthy 245 pounds, and I have no shame about that, because all of my excess fat cells will shed when they are no longer needed. Right now, apparently my body thinks that they are necessary. They're necessary to keep me alive. Or so my unconscious thought, right? Because I was avoiding sugar, and I was avoiding food, and I was avoiding doing the things to satiate that thing we call hunger. Let me address emotional eating real quick. I was taught in school, you need to slow down and mindfully eat. And if you can slow down enough, then you can ask yourself this: am I really hungry, or am I angry, or am I lonely, or am I tired? Only problem with that is, sure as shit, I can slow down and identify those things. And then if I am not quote unquote hungry, if I'm lonely, angry, or tired, then I judge if I do eat. If I eat when I'm tired and I think I know I'm eating because I'm tired and I wait for it, shouldn't. I shouldn't be eating because I'm just lonely. Then our body gets the message that the famine is near, purely because of how I am thinking about the food that I'm eating. So that's the weird thing, is that when we eat emotionally, it can be good, because if we do it intuitively and shame-free, well, apparently, according to other accounts, that pint of ice cream that used to be a binge in the middle of the night, DoorDash and hope nobody noticed, ends up, apparently, according to others, they can end up having that pint of ice cream last over a month, because all they need when they're sad and hungry is to have a couple of bites. And don't you know, wouldn't that be nice when I'm craving some chocolate to be able to just have one damn chocolate? I'm not there yet. I'll get there. And so if you don't believe me, good. Do not believe what I am speaking to you at this moment. Please research, make up your own mind. And if you have any sort of clinician, be it psychotherapist, primary care physician, you hit the emergency room and ask all of those people up in there, or if you have a rheumatologist, if you have any sort of specialist, dietitian, anybody who's a professional, anything, go ask them if they've ever heard of the Fuck It Diet and what they think. And there will be people who have advantageous things to say about it. And there will be people who have negative or disadvantages associated with the Fuck It Diet. Let me tell you, over the last 6 months, I did absolutely gain about 20 pounds. And that's okay, because now my weight is either the same or going down. I haven't had any weight gain, and I will continue to report my weight totally publicly, zero shame. So when I started the Fuck It Diet, my exact weight was 246, and my current weight this morning was 243. Please remember those fluctuations in weight of about 5 pounds are 100% normal and not actually indicative of long-term weight loss. The only way that we will know if this Fuck It Diet is working is in January. So January of 2022, that'll be a full solid 6.5 months of being on this Fuck It mindset diet that is not a diet, it is really just a thing. And we don't need to say lifestyle change, because I didn't change a damn thing except stop saying that I shouldn't. I changed my mind. I didn't change my behavior. You do not always need to change your behavior to change your body. Sometimes you need to change your mind. And how the F did I know that about all of our thoughts and feelings and sensations in the emotional realm? But when it came to nutrition, I was shitting on myself. I was shitting on others. I was telling clients, don't come to me for food. And wow, was I wrong, because I have all of the same powers to change my mind about food as I do about everything else. So if I don't want to take something personally, then I'm going to set an emotional boundary, right? Like the I'm rubber, you're glue, whatever you say sticks off, bounces off me and sticks back to you, if I'm remembering the childhood rhyme correctly. And so with that said, don't take my word for it. Do your own research. I said do. And ask as many questions to as many people as possible. If you do decide to do the Fuck It Diet, I do recommend doing it under the care of a physician, only because they do have the ability to monitor all of your blood stuff. I don't have a lab at my house, but I do at my primary care physician. So if you're doing something under the care of a physician, then you do it with caution. And so it is with cautious optimism that I proceed. What I do believe I've gone over is a little bit of what to eat, right? Everything. Eat. How to check. I told you how to check the internet, your experts in your life. Ask a few friends. And then who to ask, right? Those are the experts and friends. And the call to action is going to be to go ahead and like, comment, and share. The only difference between this and my introduction episode is I will not be using the Cash App. I do believe Stripe is better. I went ahead and put a Stripe button below the podcast on the I don't know tab of my website, katrinadragon.com. And you can make a one-time, a monthly, or an annual contribution. All contributions are gifts. They are not copays. They are not in exchange for any sort of service. I am a clinician. I am not your clinician. Any and all contributions are appreciated and will not be reciprocated in any way, shape, or form. So you have a wonderful day and enjoy my future stories, because they will be plentiful.